Cool. Alright, cool. Okay, cool. Alright, we're gonna keep on at it. So, I believe we left off with explaining why Whitlam is the greatest trader of all time of Australia. So, oh, let's hear more about that. I think it was something to do with like the Racial Discrimination Act. I can't remember.
Look at the way to find is look at the NAB records for foreign purchases. According to the National Bank, 15% of Melbourne property last year was bought by overseas bank accounts. So he sold us off our infrastructure, land, purchases. He also signed us up to not signed us up. He introduced the Racial Discrimination Act. And again, we'll talk about the ethics of course, no one wants any racial discrimination, but what that did was it removed the racial element from the immigration policy. They started to wind back they called it the White Australia Policy. It was actually called the Immigration Restriction Act from 1901 to 1973, and then 75 and 78. Fraser removed the last elements. The Racial Discrimination Act was, I won't get on that track, but so he introduced
We'll get into that one.
the Racial Discrimination Act, which allowed for foreign labour to come in and undercut the local workers. And I think you're in the building industry, yeah?
Yeah.
So you see it, I see it every day. We now have gangs of foreign workers who don't speak English doing the job for considerably less and taking away potential future employment for our children and grandchildren, because Gough Whitlam thought he had the right to open the borders to.
Damn. This is just straight up deep this is just straight up deep Great White Replacement theory conspiracy theories. That's insane. Holy shit. Um well, no. When you really think about it, we have always supplemented a large part of our manufacturing with labor from overseas. It's just they look less white now.
Immigration from, we now have 200 different nations,
Yeah.
and it's the damage that this is doing.
Yes, and don't forget the bigger companies too, like the ones doing all those big housing, what are they called, estates, like those big, a lot of them are Indian companies, and they don't pay the trades, and they're sending all these small businesses bankrupt, building shitty houses.
I beg to differ.
Dog boxes that look like shit.
Yeah. So the standard's dropping, but people don't understand why the Immigration Restriction Act was introduced in 1901. They were having problems because they were after the gold rush in the 1850s. We had a lot of Chinese labour came in and into the gold fields, and in the 1870s, the Kanakas were brought in from the Pacific Islands to the cane fields. So they started having considerable problems. It was creating ethnic tension because the locals were upset because they were working for less.
The Kanakas, shit. The Kanakas that he's referring to were slaves. Australian Kanaka slavery. That's right, it was called backbirding, where was the trade in indentured laborers from the Pacific in the 19th and early 20th century. It is often described as a form of slavery. Despite the British Slavery Abolition Act 1833 banning slavery throughout the British Empire, including Australia, the trade frequently relied on coercion, deception, and kidnapping to transport tens of thousands of indigenous peoples from islands to the Pacific Ocean to Australia and other European colonies, often to work on plantations in conditions similar to the Atlantic slave trade. Those blackbirded, known as Kanakas or South Sea Islanders, were taken from places such as Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, I don't know how to pronounce that one, a lot of places. The owners, captains, and crews of the ships involved in the acquisition of these laborers were termed blackbirders. Blackbirding ships began operations in the Pacific from the 1840s and continued in some cases into the 1930s. God damn, I didn't even know that. The demand for this kind of cheap labor principally came from sugarcane, cotton, and coffee plantations in New South Wales, Queensland, Samoa, New Caledonia, Fiji, Tahiti, and Hawaii, of course. In Auckland, a small group of South Sea Islanders worked in flax mills. Examples of blackbirding outside of the South Pacific include the early days of the pearling industry. Oh. Anyway, yeah, so keep that in mind when he's referring to them bringing in the Kanakas. Like he's blaming the Kanakas in their mind. The people, that's who he's blaming.
So they were affecting the living standards of what was then the people who built this country. But there was also a lot of ethnic tension because people were tribal. There was civil unrest. So they brought in the Pacific Island Labourers Act, that was actually before the Immigration Act, and they deported them. And they deported many of the Chinese because they wanted to protect the living standards of the workers of this country. And, and that's what is happening today. They are undermining the living standards because when Whitlam sent our manufacturing overseas, for some reason he thought that we could compete with China. China today, the average wage is $125 a week. So of course, the corporations send their industry to labour because they're about between 1/8 and 1/10 of the labour cost. So
Actually, it's more often, well, oh my God. I find it funny because of all the tariff stuff, we're finding out why this stuff has been set up in such a way. And it's not actually necessarily like y'all were supposed to just get new jobs, man. Y'all were just supposed to just learn to get new jobs. How the fuck is he back onto Gough Whitlam? Yeah, for real, bro. We didn't move off the subject. We never moved off it.
this is high treason. We were a protectionist economy, a protectionist country. In 1973, Whitlam reduced tariffs by 25%. So tariffs are there to protect the Australian worker because, yes, we have a higher standard of living because we pay higher wages. If you remove tariffs, so in 1974, imports went up 30%, which created a trade deficit of 1.5 billion. So we're governed by fiscal incompetence, and I'm just a tradesman who tried to balance my business, and I think, well, hang on, they took away tariffs, they send our manufacturers.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I'm sorry. It all comes together. He um he uh uh he has his own business and he's getting affected by I don't know what. Um like what, low taxes? But complaining about there not being enough tariffs and whatnot. Fiscal incompetence coming from a fascist fund. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, typical. Uh, but I do find it also funny that they have to hardline into all the tariff stuff as well because it's all it as nationalistic as neo-Nazism and fascism and all that shit is. It's very internationalistic in that they're all the fucking same. All of these different far right fucks, they all come around to the same thing. Like, evidently, tariffs does not benefit Australia.
In China, they're paying $125 a week. India, it's $135. So any good business is going to. So they've taken away our children's future, let alone the ability to buy a house. They call it a cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
Again, we're not going to talk about the wealthy. We're not going to talk about the mass majority of who actually own most of the empty properties. And, oh, it gets exhausting having to go through these.
I call it a quality of living crisis because they're taking away our quality of life.
Yeah,
How is
that's
my
right. Look,
son ever going to?
I was actually just thinking about what you were saying about high treason and the government's main duty is to provide safety for the community and the citizens.
These are the same people who then complain about, like, the point of the government is not to overfixate on safety and then a baby, they're all pro freedom when it comes to like shit that they don't like, such as them not being allowed to say the N word or having to take the vaccine. Then it's their freedom and they're very concerned about that and they don't want the government to be fixated on our safety and they don't want a nanny state. But now when it comes to kicking out non-white people, now they want a nanny state. Very convenient. Blaming house prices on anything other than landlord and real estate people is fucking ridiculous. You have to be actually dumb. I know, right? And this, keep in mind, this was at the beginning of this year still. It was in January. So while it was well before March for Australia, it was, the housing crisis had happened. With the they've been able to have the opportunity to learn. Yeah.
Who make up that country. And in the past or throughout history, we've seen that they were more inclined to do so, but now they've gone so far in the other direction, and with multiculturalism and diversity as our strength. If you look at the New South Wales Premier, Chris Minns had a clip the other day. It's actually, the narrative is we have to protect the multiculturalism and we have to protect these different communities. And he even admitted, even though it's very vulnerable and basically saying at a moment's notice everything could turn to shit, and that's why it's so important we have to protect it. So that to them actually protect. If you go against that narrative to them, you're probably the treasonous one. So
What the fuck did he say?
that's the thing.
Ah,
They've
I didn't
just
mean to play
gaslight.
that. You're the treasonous one because let's think this one out. You're the treasonous one if you disagree with our narrative, I guess, or like anyone who isn't them, which is that multiculturalism is good and diversity is our strength, and that no culture is better than one another kind of shit, or like no people are better than one another. inherently. Uh, Mega smooth brain, yeah, for sure. Uh, what was it? I lost track now. Uh, if you, oh yeah, that's right, because he said that apparently they think that we believe that at any notice it could all fall to shit, but we have to protect it. Thus, we have to protect it. I don't really know what point he's really trying to get at.
Got the fuck out of everyone.
Well,
It's fucking insane.
100%. And people, if you question, they call you hateful. Like I've said this a number of times. I have absolutely no hatred for anyone based on race, ethnicity,
Wraith?
religion, where you are from. No hate whatsoever. I have, uh,
No hate.
to me, the real racists are those who are too cowardly to address the biggest issue of our time, which is the demographic replacement of the founding stock of all European nations.
That's very true. It's very true. We're the real racists. We're the real racists because we don't want to repopulate and mass populate, but also kick out all the other non-whites. Basically, we're the racists because we have non-white friends. He's doing, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all great white replacement theory. I will say, it's been interesting. I haven't heard it in the Australian context. It is, I'll give him one thing. It's a very Aussie version. It's a very Aussie version. It doesn't feel like the South Africa story, but slapped on with like the Southern Cross or whatever. Like he's giving it his all. This feels like an origin story for the theory, for the great replacement theory for here. Beyond that, it's basically the same old same bullshit.
Because it's only European nations that are being targeted. No one's saying to Nigeria, you need to import, you know, infinity Indians. No one's saying to the Chinese, you're not diverse enough, or to the Sri Lankans. The only countries that have to be diverse are countries that
No one's telling the Sri Lankans, you are not diverse enough. Mr. Sri Lanka, you need to be more diverse. Mr. Chinaman, why are you not diverse enough? I'm pretty sure there is like a lot of issues in China about like, I could be wrong. I don't fucking know shit
were built
with
by
China.
Europeans. So to me, the hateful people are those who convince themselves that they're being altruistic and nice. And I've had many conversations with family members of mine, and they say, no, no, we have to help the refugees. I said, okay, well, you give me a number. How many do we bring into a country of 26 million? Oh, I don't know. Well, no, give me a number. Is it 1 million or 10 million?
We never even let in. Well, hang on. We've had mass move. We had Cronulla riots and Reclaim Australia mass riots over like I don't know 1,000. Sorry, 100,000 or like 15,000. But then we have to jump to a million or what was it? 15, 10 million? Oh God,
Uh, Maybe 10 million. I said, okay, so
10
10
million.
million from there, then 10 million. So they don't put any long term, our whole system's based on short term thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you speak to someone who doesn't work in the field of immigration in any stage of it, even police, you probably have no fucking clue what it would be like to let in 10 million people because that's a ridiculous number. Like, of refugees? Like, we won't even let in. We have enough trouble trying to let in a few. Like, enough trouble with these cunts when we try and let in a few. If we ever even actually let them in.
And
Yeah.
it's incredible to watch the, the lack of understanding of what is actually happening, because it is real. And I wish it wasn't real. And I'm the hateful one for wanting to protect
It is real.
the future of this country,
I
the future that
swear.
the men behind me died for. That picture behind me was taken on the 6th of August,
Are they still there? Are they still there, Matt? Are the men behind you still there?
1915, at a place called Lean's Trench. It was the 11th Battalion, and Lean's Trench was a diversionary battle from Lone Pine. And they took Lean's Trench, and then the Turks made some ground, so there was a counter-attack on the 6th of August.
Oh, I wonder what he thinks about Turkish people. Because, like, because of Gallipoli, like, we've never had an anti-India. We've never been against India in any war, really. But we've been against the Turks. I don't know how many Turkish people are necessarily in Australia, but I don't know. I wonder what he thinks about, like, how on Anzac Day, we do the whole, like they do also do Anzac Day over there and they celebrate it and we do it together with them. It's a whole like, oh, let's not do that again. I wonder what he thinks about that.
200 young Australians win that counter.
Our fucking leaders, it was Whitlam. Whitlam made it that we started doing woke celebrations with the Turks. It all went downhill from there.
Attack, including my grandfather.
Oh God, grandfather.
49 died. 1/4 died for nothing. And I sit back and I watch these people give it all away, give foreign aid. Talking about Whitlam, Whitlam introduced foreign aid, which was the UN.
He's actually whinging about foreign fucking aid. Just a quick Australian federal budget foreign aid percent. I could be completely wrong. Oh, oh, oh. 0.19%. They don't even have another. They don't even have the dot on the. Like they have it before the one. I don't know. Sounds like a non-issue.
Initiative in 1974 under the Official Developmental Assistance, Australian Aid. So we now give 4.9 billion every year to countries such as China. And people don't believe. What I tell them is, you put into your search engine
Yep, put it in.
China foreign aid ODA. You can
Put into your search engine. Just boot it up. Fuck, man, this guy doesn't know it. He's not on social media, and his website is so archaic
apply for
looking.
grants of $60,000 if you're a business to do such programs in China as women empowerment. We give Pakistan foreign aid. We gave them $17.5 million last year. They've got a military budget of $9 billion.
Well, I'm going to assume since our foreign aid is 0.19%, that's okay. We can afford that. We could probably afford that one.
China's got a military budget of $433 billion.
Oh shit.
And we give China foreign aid. I
Wait.
talk about traders, yeah? We give Indonesia foreign aid, 307 million last year. We gave Indonesia. Indonesia has a military budget of $37 billion.
I don't even
and we give
know
them foreign aid.
what this
we
is even
give,
about. We're going to skip through
I
this.
think it's
It's talking
$13
weird
million
numbers.
Aryan Christian tribes conquered the last Roman Empire. Augustus.
Sorry?
The biggest issue of our time, and this is bigger than anything. People compare what's happening to the West today to the fall of Rome. And
Oh God, here we go.
it's very, very different to the fall of Rome. And Rome had the bread and circuses, and people are probably watching the tennis now. We've got, fantastic. And I've got no problem with the entertainment and sports. I enjoy it. But it's an obsession for most, and it's a distraction. So when Rome fell, which was 476 Western Rome, we'll talk about, they were conquered by the barbarians, who were European tribes. They were Germanics. Odachi was the German king. 3 Aryan Christian tribes conquered.
Where the fuck have we gone now? We're only Australia. We're not that big of a deal. It's not that deep, bruh.
The last Roman Empire, Augustus Romulus. Um, so the Roman Empire then morphed into the Middle Ages, which then became, huge advances, which then became the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution. So really the fall of Rome was the morphing into Western civilization today. We are looking at being, well, when I say
Yeah, well, I mean,
conquered, we
there was a lot of steps in between that, as you pointed out yourself.
people making a thing because they've been allowed to do that. But I do have concerns.
I like, by the way, that like these two are married, at least in the time, and still are. She gets what is possibly either an office or another part of the bedroom, who knows? And it's in the dark. He gets what looks like the basement, and it's filled with tools and cables and shit. And maybe he's camping out there. I don't know. He might be in the dog shed for all we know.
About because India is a nationalistic. They have national pride. We have fights on the street for the Khalistan, which is the Sikh independent state, versus the Hindu nationalists. So we're now having Federation Square. We've got hundreds of Indian nationals fighting each other. We've got the Muslims fighting against the Israelis in the streets of Caulfield.
Yeah, that's what happens when these issues aren't dealt with by our government. Let's move on ahead because we only have so much time.
Political scientist. And he did all these studies to show that the benefits of diversity. He did 30,000 people across 40 different diverse areas in
Fuck
America.
me.
And he started getting the results back in the year 2000. It took him 2007 to release it because the results showed that every single society, everywhere he investigated, they reported less civic engagement, less social cohesion, less trust. They were more divided, and most importantly, they had more crime. So he renamed his study.
Oh
He called
God.
it the downside of diversity. You can
I feel like the idea of diversity is a strength is too ethereal for these people to comprehend. Because that's the thing, they jump to all these qualifiers, and it's just we end up just having too often two different conversations, I find. Because they don't even understand how like we could easily solve a lot of those problems by further integration.
research that. So that is a scientific study that shows diversity doesn't work. There's another study that was done in England, also in 2007, following after the bombings of 7th and 7th in 2005, where 53 Britons were killed by Islamic terrorists. They did a study in Manchester and North Tottenham, which are Great Britain's two most diverse communities. They found exactly the same thing: less social cohesion.
I'm finding this rather repetitive. Let's jump a whole heap ahead.
Love for someone I respected. to start a movement who had influence and money and resources and power, and I would support that 100%, and I would stop what I'm doing. You know, I would love it, but unfortunately, I can't see anyone at this stage. So political influence has been very hard to watch.
Any
The
points
political
oh yeah, yeah,
atmosphere is pretty poor.
especially him. Especially him. He needs to go for a long time. He's pretty bad. I will give him that. Jesse over here, he's a little more, let's say, succinct. You just don't really know what he's saying. Beck, funnily enough, has not said anything. I think she's asked a few questions. Otherwise, it's just been Matt going, which I think explains a lot with the formula for these sorts of podcasts. It's not so much that the Beck or even the Jesse person is all that important. They're just means of bringing on the other guy and other people to give them a platform. It's the whole it's like separating accountability. It's so that there's a lot less accountability because they're they can then play the whole game of like, well, they're not necessarily Nazis just because they let him on. Whammon. Yeah, whammon.
System lately. But that's, and then the fifth stage, which we're all trying to avoid, but always gets results, is violence. And again, I'm not advocating for violence, but unless the government is very, very
Yeah, I'm not advocating for violence. Please don't. I'm not advocating for violence, but just saying, unless the government throws out all of these non-white people, unless the government just collects them all up in a big bulldozer and just tips them off the edge of a cliff, just saying, we might have to do something. Us, us normal folk, us average Australians.
very careful, and whether it takes 1 year or 10 years, when you get enough people, just say this fiat currency Ponzi scheme of a financial institution collapses. If I go back to Whitlam, we've been trading.
Oh my God! It's always Whitlam. Dude, I didn't know the Satan that Whitlam really was in our system.
Yeah, as a businessman, if I trade insolvently, I'm charged. Yeah, it's actually a criminal offence. When the
What?
country trades insolvently, which has been happening since 1975, because
Oh
everything
God, no! Now he's no. I'm not do no, no. I'm not doing trade shit.
is ahead. You know,
Yeah.
the parasites are at their moment. It's one election cycle and they're done. And they take their money and they're all gone. You know, Paul Keating goes and works for the Chinese Development Bank. Communist, yeah? Prime Minister, Chinese Development Bank,
Oh my God.
undisclosed salary. He's also getting $25,000 a month from Jewish businessman Anthony Pratt.
Oh,
$25,000 a month,
Jewish.
ex-Prime Minister. You know, Tony Abbott, $8,000 a month from the same Anthony Pratt. The Pratt Foundation just donated to both sides of the US political, Republican and Democrat. He's gone both covered, yeah. I think it was $30 million to $25 million. $30 million to Trump, $25 million to Harris. Beautiful. What sort of people are we dealing with here? I want people
I want to know
who
what you think.
actually have some sort of honour. So we have to get.
Oh,
I want the
oh no.
working class
Oh,
to have a say. I
oh,
want young men or
yeah.
family men who run businesses, who've got a
Oh,
good head on their shoulders, who
yeah,
are honourable men who want to look after
yeah,
the family. I want them to go into politics and have a say. And I want
yeah,
a direct democracy system where
yeah.
the only ones who vote have a knowledge of the the rule of law and the culture and the history and so they people who are invested in the
I don't know about that one. But keep going. We can that one we can workshop.
society have a say. And again, the biggest
Yeah.
is white pill for me is the Swiss model, which was by no means perfect. They've got Davos in Switzerland, they've got lots of issues there, but they have a direct democracy system.
Yep. Yeah.
They have the 26 cantons. They elect 246 into the assembly. So the assembly then elects the council of seven. The council of seven then elects a rotating president.
As if it's not a very famously Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing that I find that's the thing I'm finding, I guess, refreshingly consistent, at least with him, is that as much as he is in denial of, you know, the the Nazi part, he seems to really repeat the lines that you would expect to hear out of like a out of a Natsoc. So like a well, yeah, National Socialist. That's a Nazi. But like more of the like, hear me out, more of the socialist side of the Nationalist Socialist, more so just because he does the whole worker thing. But that's more of an aesthetic thing, really. I think it's more about like because it was born in probably like working class family. Um, but yeah, it's constantly brings up an issue where goes like the working class is getting. I want to see them get represented, but only if they're white. Or sorry, only if they're Australian and from that original, what was it? Original stock of Europeans or whatever he said
President,
before.
12-monthly period. They have an average of 4 referendums a year, up to 11 in some, I think 2000, 5 years ago, they had 11 referendums. So you have to get people invested in the future. At the moment, it's all just too hard. And everyone I speak to says, oh, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. You're wasting your time. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah. And
And
you
I
know,
get
it's
that's your
funny,
point.
Matt, it's funny you mentioned earlier the Fabian socialists because that's kind of their motto is to do things over generationally,
Yeah.
progress their agenda over a long spanning period of time.
That's generally how things work, yes. I know that you might think that things revolve around you, buddy, but um, generally when people do, well, when a people, not anything in particular, just, group of people that are in a particular area, that exist within a particular area, decide to, do a sort of project in the sense of like government, typically it lasts over a few generations, and so depending on the ideology, yeah, again, a few like that's the process. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And it's something that the other side of politics has completely lost. And as you say, everyone's attitude, everyone, even people who completely know what we're saying is 100% true and they're on our side, but there's nothing we can do about it. And I know people like that, I'm mates with some of
Yeah.
them.
Well, I agree with that,
And
man.
it's not true. You can do things, you do it generational shifts.
Yeah. And the Fabian Society is
Oh
just one.
God.
I mentioned the number of steps we take. The Fabian Society, and it's not a consolidated effort. It's coming from all the different Marxist entities because the Fabian Society,
Yeah.
which is the long march through the institutions, the Fabian Society has the tortoise as their emblem and the wolf in sheep's clothing. They
Yeah.
named after Fabius Maximus, who defeated Hannibal through gradualism. Slowly, 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 will put out people.
I don't know anything about these Fabian socialists. Maybe this is something I need to learn about, but I'll just say I haven't felt their impact in government. I haven't really felt the impact.
Into the academia, the government institutions, the corporations, and it's played out perfectly. And Antonio Gramsci said the same thing, an Italian communist, and then there was a German socialist, Rudi Deutscher, same thing, made his mission statement. So all these different little groups are putting all their operatives into the positions of power. So you have someone like um,
Just in Australia. Or for the sake of doing this in Australia. I don't know. I feel like he would be very centric like that, very egocentric like that.
um, whether it's a Quinton Bryce appointing weak uh, chief justices, which destroys our judiciary, and slowly, slowly, the head of the AFL is more concerned about Pride Round than about what about we just play the game of football?
Yeah, they don't care about playing the game of football. They don't play football anymore. They're done. The AFL never plays football anymore. Oh God, I did think it was funny that he brought up the thing before about like comparing the West to Rome, and oh yeah, We have our circuses, but there's nothing to say about this. About I'm not going to comment on the entertainment. I like sports. I was thinking he was going to make a thing of comment about like, "Oh, I was a fan of sports until they let the trans women in."
We've got
Yeah.
the tennis centre who won't, now they're saying Australia they can have the anthem before the main event and the flags will be up there. But we've got 3 days of the Glam Slam, and on Friday we've got Pride Day, which I've got
Yeah.
nothing against the LGBT community, but why do we have drag queens from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Going around interacting with children? Why do we need that?
All right, all right.
Tennis tournament,
Yeah.
isn't it?
They've infiltrated the institutions, and
The drag queens. They've infiltrated.
they have created a Weimar on an international scale. So
Yeah.
the reaction you're seeing is purely due to that behaviour.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, we need to run through these. What the hell?
I don't get it, mate. Beck, I just don't get. I don't get anything.
Sorry, Matt, I just want to cut in quickly.
Oh,
We've
Beck.
been going a while, but at the moment we've got quite a few viewers. So we've got 350 at the moment. So just while we have got a decent amount, I just want to see if you're happy to just go into your upcoming rally,
Oh,
just because
never
I don't
mind.
want the
I
numbers
don't
to
care
start
about
dropping
that.
off, just because I know there has been the
Yeah.
Coming to European countries and leaving their families at home. I don't understand that. An honourable man will go and fight.
All right, that sounds lovely.
He's a really interesting character, and he made a speech. It was a couple of months ago. He brought his whole cabinet into, and he had a press conference, and he put his whole cabinet in, and he said live, "Every single one of you is under investigation." He said there was
All right,
corruption in my cabinet.
we're telling
To
our
find out
very
who.
fun versions of
The average
tales.
house price was 117,000. The average wage was 36,000. So you could buy a
No,
house.
they just rode the wave.
Yes, and the reason they all bought a house because you could buy a house for 3 times the average wage. Now it's 10 times.
Yeah.
And people don't realise that the only thing stopping the major catastrophic collapse is immigration, because if you look at the parallels between the Great
Ah, fuck it, let's
Depression
go
in
for it.
1930, housing was more affordable than it is today. You could buy a house in 1930
Ah,
for 1.5 times the average.
we're only going to focus on the immigration statistics, aren't we, though? We're not going to look at anything else. We're not going to look at the capital gains tax. We're not going to look at, what was it? I forgot all the things that fucking John Howard did.
Wage. The problem was we had 30% unemployment, but we didn't have mass migration in the 30s during the Great Depression. So what they're doing today is to stave off the.
Okay, I'll accept that. But you might find that during the 1930s, we did have something else which was known as the Great Depression.
The crash is to bring in consumers. So
Yeah.
we're in a per capita recession and have been for 18 months. We've had 6 negative quarters of growth at a per capita level, but we're not in an official level at a national level recession because they've been in consumers. So technically, cost of living crisis is worse, but people still have jobs, so they're just getting by. Gets that little bit harder every year, a bit harder to make the mortgage, a bit harder to balance the budget. The grocery bags are now $80 a bag instead of.
Yep. The life was absolutely shit, but at least you had a job. I mean, I guess. Nah, man, I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure part of the Great Depression was also that a significant part of the population didn't have a job.
70
Was
last
it like
year. So
30%?
a little bit tougher. So people they stop having quite as many holidays, and they start winding back a bit, and that will go on until whether it's the reset, whatever the solution is. So it's
Oh my
I
God, he
my
believes in the reset. He believes in the reset. Oh, the Great Reset. I forgot what that is. It's well, I remember that's a conspiracy theory at least, but I forgot what it's all about. Of course he does.
My blame is laying solely at the feet of governments who did not have the right to introduce the policies they did.
In other words, Gough Whitlam. Okay, so he really doesn't like Gough Whitlam. Fuck, man. Let's jump here.
So somebody asked,
It's a conspiracy. What's the reset again? So it's a conspiracy theory. I'm gonna have to search it up because I can't fully remember it. The Great Reset. Okay, so that's right. Yeah, no, the Great Reset. It was a thing where a bunch of like the world's like economists and money people would during COVID were like, all right, well, given that we kind of had to shut down a lot of things, maybe this can let us like reconsider how some of our supply lines and whatnot are set up. Don't get me wrong, still very fucking pro-capitalist, but I think it was supposed to, do the whole like being against crony capitalism, good capitalists versus bad capitalists kind of thing. But because it's called the Great Reset, I mean, come on now. That's just a name that people just fucking love. Conspiracy theorists would just love to fucking hang on to something about that. So yeah,
how to move forward other than being active in your community, informing other people about what's going on. How moving forward do we
okay, here we go.
be active,
Maybe we
like
can
in
leave
terms
off
of
on
voting
this.
and the government? So I've got a quick clip to show from What's News, who you can go and follow on Twitter and TikTok. I'll show that now, and it's just an example. And obviously, I just want to say as well, I'm not going too hard on One Nation because I do believe that One Nation are one of the.
I wanted to get his
So
response.
do you think it's ironic though? Because if you say that the replacement thing is real, do you not think it's ironic that the One Nation candidate is Sikh?
Okay, what the fuck?
Because that's again, what is multiculture mean? Multiculture, you are also part of multiculture.
Multiculturalism has been forced upon us. Like Australians didn't want that.
Australians didn't want that. I know that. I'm speaking on behalf of all. Now I want to get back to. Oh mate, we don't care about whatever that guy is.
Indian candidates through branch stacking and political donations, and then trying to justify it. Then you've got her, she's also wearing an Israeli flag in Parliament. She's lost, yeah.
Oh no, Pauline Hanson's lost favor for a while, I guess. Oh no, she shouldn't have waved the Israeli flag. Oh man, why do you have issues with the Israeli flag? I bet it's more to do with the Star of David. Yeah, I gotta say, I bet he has very opinionated thoughts on all of the what he would consider migrant politicians
No
or
one
whatever.
represents the true nationalists. No one does. The Liberals sold out. Labor, as soon as there's an anti-Semitic attack, Dutton will commit whatever it takes to fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine thinking Dutton was like pro-immigration. Damn, bro. Well, that puts it in perspective.
No character, no integrity. None of them have. There's possibly, I mean, Jared Rennick so far hasn't disappointed me yet. So we're talking one man, but then he got disendorsed by his own party because they knew that he was trying to push for systemic change. I actually met Jared Rennick in
love
Canberra.
this guy's
He
perspective on
really
politics.
good. And I think he knows.
I just want to
some of the
hear
deeper
what he
problems.
says. I just want to hear what he says day by day, like what's going on in politics, like what's going on in Australian politics. I just want to hear that. Not take anything from it, not actually take it seriously, just to hear it, like just get a 5-minute piece.
Yeah.
He couldn't say too much, and he may turn out to be a disappointment as well. So at the moment, my advice is, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. My opinion only. It's a huge task, but you have to start somewhere, and you cannot rely on the current system to save us because they've shown time after time after time
Yeah.
where their loyalties are. It's not to the people. They are not true representatives of the people. So the current system needs a full change, and for some
Okay.
people that's just too much because they need some strange stuff. But the change is coming. I can feel it. I can
Can you?
sense it in people when I talk to them. I
What
can sense the frustration amongst
what was the
everyone.
change? What do we need
It's
to
purely a
do?
matter of, for me, trying to set something up that people will have somewhere to go, and hopefully in between something else pops up that I can support wholeheartedly.
I have a feeling, I'm gonna be absolutely honest. I'm getting I'm getting the feeling. Is he gonna set up a compound? Is that what he's talking about? He's wanting to build a compound, isn't he? He wants to build like a little rural compound and be his own little doomsday preppers. That's my assessment of this guy. That's what it sounds like he's doing. Because he runs a business, right? All about fucking, simply put, man, yeah, 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 yeah. Do you know you agree with everything he says? Oh God. Try not to be offensive. What the fuck? All right, I'm gonna have to finish up because, yeah,
And get right on board and say, okay,
this
you
can't wait for him to start his own sovereign nation with his own currency. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think that'll be like a 10-year thing or a 20-year thing, maybe. I bet it'll be like his son. It'll be his son, because surely he won't live that long. He'll fucking like overdose or something. Oh God. All right, I'm gonna finish up that now because I have other things I must do. But at least we got to finish that off, so I'm happy we got that because I don't think we're gonna get anything more out of that. All right.